Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1295, written by Naughtyspider, glimpsing into the Victorian Epoch. My ex, many years ago, was helping his friends move into a Victorian terrace. These houses have a front door that opens into the street and a long corridor with rooms that come off of it on the ground floor. As he arrived, he was carrying a box from them through the front door and walked past an open room door, front parlor, to briefly see an old woman sitting in the sitting chair looking to be staring straight ahead to what he thought was a TV. He took her to be a relative. As he got to his friends in the next room, he joked that someone had already made themselves at home. They didn't know what he was talking about. They all then went in the front parlor room. No old lady, no furniture, no TV. It was like he'd seen a glimpse of an old life for the split second he'd walked past the doorway. Case file 1295, glimpsing into the Victorian Epoch. So that's exactly what I believed happened. A multiverse viewing event, not bound to concurrent time. I believe transit between the multiverses outside the boundary of normal space-time. I mean, it literally is, because space-time is localized within a universe. If you can imagine the multiverse as little universe are like droplets or bubbles floating in the great void, well, in the void between these universes, there's nothing. I mean, there's actually nothing, not even space and time. So there would be no time outside of it. So the last part is critical. Time itself, a map of sequential events. Maybe the future is more vague and undetermined. There's so many possibilities. That's the whole point of the multiverse. Every branching path, everything that could happen does happen in a different universe. But in terms of what has already happened, well, that's almost like a movie. You could just pick a spot and start over from there. Just see a hologram, a projection of what happened, or even a snapshot, if you will. In these peering events, what intrigues me so much is the notion of controlling it. Think about it. If we reach a point centuries from now, most likely, centuries, thousands of years maybe, where we've invented devices that can replay events from our universe or across the multiverse, other universes too, the possibilities would be endless. You think about it, it would be like a device that has infinite TV channels that can play anything you could possibly, literally anything that could have possibly happened. You could just flip a channel and tune in. That's a very interesting idea. Bonus file written by DirtDiggler6667, Inside the Room of Fear. My brother and I had the typical horror movie experience. Parents divorced when I was 9 and my brother was 7. Moved around until our mom found a nice house for a cheap rent to own. She didn't tell us because she didn't want us to worry about it, but 3 people had been killed in a break-in a year prior. So we move in and we all get to pick our own rooms. I'm drawn to the frontmost room, with 3 big bay windows on one side and a small closet in the corner. My brother across a short hall, a bathroom between the 2 rooms. 2 weeks in, one night I could hear my closet door slowly creak all the way open. Every night for about a week this happened, and it scared me because I had completely shut the door every time. I told my mom I wanted the doorknob replaced, and so she obliged, and I got a new one. This did absolutely nothing for me. So I started talking to the neighbor's kids. This was when I found out what happened to the family in the house before us. I was horrified. I was sleeping in the room of the child that lived in the house. He loved to play with his toys in the closet. One of the kids I would play basketball with was good friends with the kid. I never felt alone in the room, just watching. My brother, on the other hand, was enjoying his life to the fullest because I didn't have the heart to tell him about the house. I did talk to my mom about it though. She was very appreciative that I didn't tell my brother. A few more weeks go by, and my mom is getting ready for work and she's locked out of her room. We do everything we can to get it open, and finally we do. All of us late for work and school. But then this becomes a recurring thing. She's locked out of her room with more frequency every few weeks. My brother and I start seeing this shadow. There are 3 arches in the house that connect the living room to the dining table and kitchen, so my mom hangs curtains on 2 of them to keep the sun out of the big TV we had at the time. She buys one of those light things that you plug into the wall to melt the little cubes of wax, and it really illuminates one of the arches. my brother and I start seeing this shadow. I come out of my room from a hard night of playing Black Ops 1. Good times. I see what looks like a woman's shadow. I call out to my mom, but there's no answer. Looking a little hard, I can tell that this isn't even my mom's build either. This woman is tall and slender. My mom is 5'6" and more of a normal build. The shadow is more like 5'11" and pretty skinny. I open my brother's door and tell him to come out. We were both on COD. We're both freaked out and don't want to go over to see who or what it is, because why would we? This obviously doesn't look like our mom, and it isn't moving at all. My brother comes into my room, we lock the door, and we both go sleep there. The next day, during my weekly basketball session with the neighbor's kids, I asked what the lady that lived in the house looked like, and I described exactly the type of person we saw the night before. I don't finish playing basketball and go home to tell my mom what had been going on last night. She brushes it off, saying, "We freaked each other out because now we both know what happened in the house before." Literally the same morning, she is once again locked out of her room by nothing. This was the last straw for her. She removed the doorknob from her door because swapping it with a new one had done nothing. She eventually just gets one that doesn't have a lock on it at all. We beg her to just stay in one of our rooms, and if that shadow is there again, we'll wake her up and show her. She stayed with my brother for one night, and once again I was going to go get water and I just saw it. Just standing there in front of the bright light shining up from the curtain. I wake them both up and my mom looks visibly scared for the first time of my life at the time. She calls out if someone was there, and she sees that there's no movement from behind the curtain. She inches into the living room to turn on the light. Something we as young kids definitely are not going to do. And that shadow is gone. She runs past the arches and nothing. No one is there and nothing is there to cast a shadow. And I see her wide-eyed and breathing heavily. She knows we haven't been kidding or messing around with her now. Case notes for the bonus file. Inside the Room of Fear. I think there are so many spirits and life forms that are just out of reach from the mortal plane, but they want to cross over. I can only infer that doing so requires immense amounts of energy, so it doesn't happen often. Maybe it's spiritual energy, not just like kinetic energy that makes the room feel colder. And by that I mean a kind of life force from humans, the soul, whatever it is we can't currently detect that is responsible for animating our sentient experience in this world, in this universe. The soul is what most people would say. If that's the case, you have to sap life force, the soul, whatever's binding us to the real world or the religious, heaven, I don't know. Maybe most spirits don't want to tap into that, considering it a kind of theft, unless it regenerates, and even then it would still kind of be theft, but maybe it doesn't regenerate. And maybe spirits intuitively know this, so that most, unless they're evil, won't try to tap into that. And I don't think most spirits are evil. I mean, most humans aren't, so why would most spirits be? Maybe they go a bit wonky over time, but not evil. And now time for the quote of the day. If the only prayer you ever say in your whole life is, "Thank you," that would suffice. Meister Eckhart. Yeah, thank you is a powerful word, isn't it? People don't say it enough these days. Thank you, please, the common courtesies and manners, they go a long way. It's not just about saying the words, though. You have to mean it deep down. If someone does something nice for you, thank them. The manners and courtesy is a ritual habit. It's more than that. It goes deep inside of you. If you are really thankful, it's not something you even have to think beyond even being it a habit. You just want to say it. It's not like muscle memory. If someone does something nice for me, I want to thank them. And if I want a favor from them, I would say please. Part of that too is understanding that maybe they don't want to or they can't, and that's fine. I would say there is a certain atmosphere of entitlement that people have these days that stretches so profoundly within them. I don't know how to break through it, peel it off like a layer of an onion that is rotting. You want to get back to the proper layer that is not rotted. Not an easy thing to do, but we need to try. And I guess the best thing you can do is just lead by example. If you want others to behave with manners and treat each other nicely, well, start by doing that yourself. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.